The Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Maite Mashabane, recently briefed the media on a number of international developments. On the situation in Burundi, Minister Nkoana Mashabane said that South Africa reaffirmed its support for the African Union's principal rejection of unconstitutional change of government and its commitment to the rule of law and democratic processes and institutions, as enshrined in the Constitutive Act and the African Charter on Democracy, Elections and Governance.
It is unfortunate that this event happened on the day that the regional leadership of the East African community was meeting to discuss the political and security challenges facing the sister republic of Burundi. South Africa expresses its full support to the efforts of the leaders of the East African community and the African Union aimed at assisting the Republic of Burundi to return to constitutional order. South Africa regrets the loss of life and appeals to all the Burundian stakeholders to resolve their differences through dialogue and peaceful means within the framework of its country's constitution and in the spirit of the Arusha Peace and Reconciliation Agreement. South Africa is a country that played a critical role in the Burundi peace process under President Mandela, President Mbeki, and also with the mediation that was co-led by the then Deputy President and now President Zuma, will remain seized with the situation and lend our support to the efforts of the East African community.
Regarding the 12th session of the Iran-South Africa Joint Commission, Minister Nkoana Mashabane said that it was one of the most successful bilateral engagements, which culminated in the adoption of a joint communique that outlines specific practical steps that the two countries have agreed to undertake in order to deepen their political, diplomatic, trade and investment ties.
The Joint Commission made a commitment to ensure implementation of all agreements between South Africa and Iran. 7 working groups identified a wide but focused range of key areas of future cooperation. We have set out deliverable projects and programs that are time-bound and outcome-based. Among these are the initiatives in education, energy, health, investment, mining, transport, agriculture, science and technology. Apart from the implementation of existing bilateral agreements, we also took advantage of the Joint Commission to discuss a range of developments internationally and in our respective regions, including the reform of the global institutions of governance. We also discussed developments relating to the political agreement recently reached in the nuclear talks between the 5+1 and Iran, and as well as the conflict in Yemen. Regarding the nuclear talks, we reiterated our position that Iran has an inalienable right to develop nuclear energy for peaceful purposes, in line with the provisions of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. South Africa has the rare distinction of having acquired nuclear weapons and then voluntarily dismantled them. Like Iran, South Africa firmly believes that the Middle East should be made a nuclear-free and nuclear weapons-free zone, as we have done in Africa with the Pelindaba Treaty. In this regard, the South African government will continue to encourage and support Iran as it works towards a comprehensive agreement in the nuclear talks. We hope that the final outcome will be fair and just to the people of Iran, and that the sanctions will be lifted without delay.
Minister Nkoana Mashabane said that South Africa will host the AU summit in June 2015 in terms of a decision of the AU Assembly of Heads of State and Government adopted at its meeting in Addis Ababa in January this year.
This will be the second time South Africa has the honor to host an AU summit. The first being the inaugural summit, which took place in 2002. The June 2015 summit will remain and maintain the theme of the January 2015 summit, chaired by the current chair, His Excellency President of Zimbabwe, President Mugabe. The theme also remains, as adopted in the January summit, Year of Women Empowerment and Development towards Africa's Agenda 2063. As it is custom, there will be sectoral meetings of ministers that have already started. There will be, from beginning of June, senior officials meetings, followed by the Permanent Representative Council, followed by the Executive Council of the Union, and this then will culminate into a summit of heads of states from the 14th to the 16th of June. On our side, we have, as a host country, an interministerial committee that seeks to support the preparatory work of the AU Commission and the chair of the AU Summit. We are well aware of the fact that the summit would also be taking advantage of this to adopt the Agenda 2063 and its first 10 years of implementation plan. We'll also be looking at state of continental peace and security, including our contribution as the continent to issues peace, security, and also how we contribute towards ending global terrorism. We also want to contribute, and we will be contributing through our women's ministry, to the effort of the leadership of the continent to make real the slogan of making women's empowerment and development practically achievable. The other issue that would be very topical is how Africans need to work together to move on with alternative sources of funding for the African Union. There are many efforts of how we should work together to integrate continental economies and infrastructure on the continent.